What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Scevoli Tano Show, guys. I'm back with my new friend, guys. I just want to say I'm geeking out a little. I'm all red in the face because my complexion of my skin is not. It's red. It's all red now. Because we have, ladies and gentlemen, on the Scevoli Tonight Show, Barris Offee herself, Nalini Krishan, is here today to talk all about Barris Offee. We love Barris. I've been talking with Nalini for a while now about Barris and Tales of the Empire and Attack of the Clones that we just hit, I think, the 20-year anniversary of Attack of the Clones. And then Phantom Menace as well. And the Revenge of the Sith, of course. So Nalini, how are you, my friend?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. So excited. So my first question to you, Nalini, is what was the process going into Barris Offee? Like, how did you get the role? Did you know anything about the character? Did you study this character? Because I know back then you didn't have the Clone Wars, and now you have the Clone Wars. You have the Tales of the Empire, and now how was that like going into a role that you knew nothing about this character at all?
Yeah, and that is actually true. I didn't know anything about the character. And I think for more security and because they didn't want people to know, they really didn't divulge these smaller characters that they put in Attack of the Clones to the actors. I remember being on set and they were doing interviews and the gentleman asked me, what do you think about playing Barris Offee? And I said, I don't know anything about Barris Offee because no one really knew much about the character. She hadn't really been built. But I got this role. My agent actually happened to call me and she said to me, they want to see you. They want to see you. And I said, okay. I thought maybe I'm going for an audition. And so I went in and the next thing you know, I'm literally there for a fitting. And they started to fit me out and they're referencing this image. And I said to them, are you measuring me out for this character? And they said, yes. I said, okay, I'm going to be playing this character. And they said, yes. So I literally just got handed the part based on what they were looking for, what they thought she would look like. And, obviously comparing my images to that, Lucas just decided that I was going to play Barris Offee. So I didn't have to audition for it. It was very unique.
Oh,
almost
wow.
Felt like it was just handed to me on a platter. And I just fit the part. And I actually got the part that way. And it's changed my life.
Oh, wow. Now, did you see, when they gave you the part, did you see any sketches of Barris? What was she going to look like? Because I know she has, the black marks on her face. Did you know anything about that and everything? Did you know any about her makeup, her where she comes from? What is she about? Anything like that?
No, they didn't really give us any of that information at the time. I think a lot of that information was in the book, The Approaching Storm, but I didn't even know about that book and that it was really the prequel to Attack of the Clones. Oh. And no one told me that the character I'm playing is in that because it all happened at the last minute. So I didn't have any preparation to read the book and I didn't know anything about her at all. So when I got on set, other than the image I had when they were measuring me, I had no idea what she looked like until they started painting my face, yellow and started to they were painting it on, painting the tattoos on. The only thing I knew was that she was going to have blue eyes, and they asked me to bring my blue contacts because I had those in an image. So I think they thought, okay, beautiful blue eyes, we can give her those blue eyes. And that's what her character has. And they knew I had the blue contacts. So I knew that she was going to be blue-eyed. But other than that, didn't know anything about what she looked like. I just knew what she was wearing based on the measurements. And they actually made those items based on my measurements because they were sewing, the costumes together at the studio in Sydney. So I thought that was very fascinating that they had to measure me to make my costume beforehand. And it wasn't just, okay, here's the costume. This is what you're going to be wearing. Let's see if you fit into it. It was literally, let's actually measure her because we're building this for her. Yeah. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, it is. Because now my other question is to you now, did you film with other stars? Because I know a lot of people did their scenes somewhere else. I know Ayla Secura, Amy Allen, which I'm a big fan of. I met her in Rhode Island where you were last year, and she had a little convo with me, and she said that she wasn't on. She was different than she filmed differently than where she was with like if Hayden Christensen was there, Ian McGregor, Natalie Portman, Samuel Jackson, and stuff like that. So did you film with the regular cast of them, or were you just like not photoshopped in, but I don't know what the word is, but back then where they just put you there like a green screen technically,
Green screen.
like, something like that.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's a great question. And it was a bit of both. So for the fight scenes that we did, it was all green screen. And there was no other actors there, except for Mario Yaya when we actually did the tandem fighting scenes, which they cut out. They're the scenes where we were back to back and we were simultaneously doing the same movements. So they taught us that. They filmed, then I think because I had so much footage, they just cut that out.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
That was green screen, and it was just the two of us. But for all the Jedi Council scenes and other scenes, I did meet all the actors. I met Samuel Jackson, Natalie Portman, Ahmed Best. I didn't meet Ewan McGregor, but I did see him on set. Worked with Mario Yaya, Silas Carson, all of those cast members. I actually worked with them and actually met them. Very down to earth people, an amazing time.
Now, I wanted to show you because I think you've seen this on social media and everything, but you have your own comic book cover now with Mary herself. You know, Barris Offee's right here, and then Mary is over here. The Star Wars Master and Apprentice series. This is amazing. And then other ones that I know if you've seen, but you might have seen it, the Star Wars Adventures with Barris Offee herself on it, actually on comic book cover.
Oh, yes, I have that one. That's the one I have. I'm trying to get the other one because I've seen it, but I have the Barris Offee one, yes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I really like that. It's exciting to have your own comic book, I have to say.
It is, and then it looks exactly like what Attack of the Clones, like if Attack of the Clones came out this year or something like that, it would have looked exactly like that. You and Mary killing it. How was it working with Mary? Was it fun to work with Mary?
Oh, she was amazing. I mean, I never knew Mary before. We were with different agencies, acting agencies. But the irony of this is so funny, is that when we filmed and we knew that we were playing, Padawan and Master, she actually, I said, we should go in together. It turns out she literally lived not even 5 minutes from my house. Same suburb. And, my mother would actually take us in for filming when we would have to do, filming together. She would just take us in. It wasn't close by where we lived, but we would literally go in together to get ready because, we were in the same scenes for every scene I did. So we would actually travel in together, and I forged a really good friendship with her after filming because she lived so close. I mean, she's moved back now to, I think she moved to Kenya, but when she lived in Australia, we were actually in the same suburb, and I would go and see her and hang out with her afterwards, and I made her a lifetime friend that way. So that was really cool that she just literally lived 5 minutes down the road, and I never knew that until we started working together.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Now you're like Star Wars friends forever.
Yes, exactly. And I saw her in Rhode Island. I hadn't seen her for years, and I saw her in Rhode Island last year, which was a lot of fun.
Now, how did you like that Comic-Con? Because I love going to that. I think it's small. It's a lot of people do go, but it's so sometimes on a Saturday. I feel like on Saturday it was more upbeat than Friday and Sunday. I don't know if you can agree with me, but I didn't go. I really wanted to meet you in Rhode Island that year, but I just couldn't do it. But how was that experience at meeting fans and going to Rhode Island Comic-Con for the first time? How was it?
I think it was amazing. I didn't know what to expect because I hadn't done a show on the East Coast for quite some time. And Saturdays are always busy. That's when everyone's out and they want to come to the show, and it's always going to be the busiest. But I actually found it was busy for the whole time I was there because it'd been a while since I'd been in that neck of the woods. A lot of fun, a lot of guests. There was a lot of guests from different genres, and it was amazing. Like the amount of celebrities and guests that they were able to pull in for that show. And also, the one thing I like about conventions is when I go there, I like to walk around, look at the different stalls and look at what they're offering and get Star Wars stuff. If I can find my action figures there, I'll always go and have a look and actually buy it as well. But I actually, I think it's very interesting. You never know what you're going to find at a convention. So I always like to look around and see what they're offering, and walk around like a patron and see, okay, what is there that's interesting to buy? Oh, I didn't know that they actually sell this. And so it's a fun thing to do when you're actually at the convention. And that convention was very well organized with the amount of celebrities they had, very organized, but also a lot of fun. They really did take care of their guests.
Oh, good. I know Rhode Island is good. I love going there. I really missed out. I really missed out.
Next time for sure.
Next time. Well, my next question to you is, so Barris Offee is this big character now in Star Wars. We've seen her in live action in Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know, and Revenge of the Sith. We didn't know who she was. We didn't know even who Luminara Unduli was at that time either. We just knew they were Jedi, and that's really much it. It was really centered around like Anakin, Obi-Wan, Darth Sidious, and stuff like that. So going into now animation, now were you surprised that Barris came back in animation, or what was your reaction to finally go like, oh my God, this character is back, and Master Luminara Unduli is still training her, of course. What was your reaction of her transitioning into animation from live action?
Well, initially when she was in the Attack of the Clones, I thought, okay, that's interesting, because everyone thought all the Jedis died. So there was a lot of question marks around her character and what happened. So, watching that, we learn more about who she is. But then when she turned, it was very sort of out of character, I thought, for who she was and who I thought I was playing as Barris Offee, the character. But even now, a lot of people have had questions about her, and there's been a lot of, I think, they want to really build on the female characters in Star Wars, which I think is great. So it's great that they're telling the story of these Jedis. And it is interesting because she's meant to represent good. She's on the good side. And then she goes to good, when you see her in Attack of the Clones, in the Clone Wars, and then she turns, and then you see her again now, and then it's like this big transition. It's like a learning curve. It's like this journey goes on where she's good, then she's bad, and then is she good again? And I think they really needed to tell the story, because they really needed people to know what happened to her, because everyone was asking what happened. Was she an Inquisitor? Is she going to turn? And there's still questions left over now too after what we've just seen.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be questions, I think, with Barris Offee. But I think that I'm actually glad for the outcome so far with her character, because I was questioning what's going to happen, but I'm thankful for how they portrayed her in Tales of the Empire.
Yes, and shout out to the voice of Barris Offee, Mildred.
Yes.
She kills it every time with Barris. I have to shout her out.
She's amazing.
She really is amazing. So shout out to her if she's ever watching this. But it was a big transition. I feel like with Barry, I'm calling her Barry.
It's okay. Call her what
it's
you
all
want.
right. We'll get over it. But with Barris, it was a very, like, we see her in the Clone Wars, and we see how she's a young Padawan to Master Unduli, and then we really don't see her much. After like season, I think 3 was it in the Clone Wars? With Ahsoka, teaming up with Ahsoka, we don't see her until season 5, and that's the Wrong Jedi, and Barris bombed the temple and stuff like that. But I don't know if you've read the Ahsoka novel. It's the Ahsoka novel read by Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka. And I don't remember what she said, but I'm going to pick it out, bits and pieces. She talks about Barris in there, and she says that if Barris was not doing that, like, she could have did something else. She could have came to talk to the council. She could have talked to Ahsoka about it. Ahsoka is what the Jedi should have been. Understanding, okay, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Not like, oh, okay, bye, you're going to blow the temple up. All right, do it. Stuff like that, what the Jedi used to do.
Yeah.
And then she said her and Barris would have stopped Sidious from becoming what he became, and she said it perfectly. I'll send it to you later. I think I posted it, and I tagged you in it, but I'll send it, like, the picture of it later, and you can see what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But now, do you think if Barris would have stayed with the Jedi, do you think her and Ahsoka, if Ahsoka did stay at the temple, because if the bombing never happened, Ahsoka would have never left. Now, do you think Barris and Ahsoka would be allies during Execute Order 66. If Ahsoka never went to the Seeds of Mandalore too, now what do you think Barriss' story would have been like if the Wrong Jedi never happened?
I mean, honestly, I think that it could have gone any way. I think that because she had such a strong friendship with Ahsoka, they honestly could have conquered anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they really could have stopped anything from happening. They really could have understood what was happening. They could have left. They could have, they could have been on their own journey together. But I do believe, regardless of what may have happened, I think that if she had not have acted the way she did towards Ahsoka, I think there would have been a lifetime bond of the two of those characters together. And I think that they would have conquered the world, honestly, because they're just such strong female characters, strong female Jedis. They were just amazing that, divided, it's terrible, but together, it's like, working with Illuminari and Dooley. I mean, the two of them, the Padawan and the learner. I mean, the learner and the master, the two of them together,
they were powerful.
So strong and powerful. To be with Ahsoka and to have worked with Ahsoka, to stay, and I think Ahsoka just has so much wisdom that if you're making an extreme action like Barris did, it's if anything, it's going to break the friendship. Of course, it did.
Yeah.
But I think that Ahsoka would have had an understanding had Barris have acted differently in that situation, and I think that they probably would have been closer. And would have continued on maybe a similar path, a similar journey that that Ahsoka is on right now.
Yeah. Now, did you want to see, if we never got like Tales of the Empire, what would you have written for Barriss? What would you have written if we never got Tales of the Empire? We see what she's become. We'll talk about that in a little while. But what would you, if you were writing Barriss, her next chapter in her life, what would your idea of that character would be like?
That's actually a really good question. And I have to say that I'm very happy with a lot of how they portrayed her in the Tales of the Empire, because I would never have portrayed her as doing what she did in Attack of the Clones. It seemed so out of ordinary, so out of character for her. So it was very surprising when she did that. So for her to take that action to redeem herself, and to really, she's had a lot of time, when she's locked up, to think about what she's done. And then she's given that ultimate test, be an Inquisitor or go back to the good side. And I think she made the right choice. And ultimately, that's what I would have chosen for her character. I honestly didn't know if she'd become an Inquisitor. I think that was a thing I was questioning. I was like, I don't know. I ultimately believe that she will finally see the good, and she'll realize the errors of her way, the error of her ways. So yeah, I think that I would have portrayed her as she is, which is that she has turned back to the good side. She's realized her mistakes, and then she's trying to help others. In the case of Lynn, helping her to realize the error of her way as well. That warning that she gives her, don't do what I did.
Yes.
She's trying to impart that wisdom from her experience. So yeah, I would have done what what we see in Tales of the Empire. I think it's great. She's redeemed herself, and she's back on the good side.
Yeah, and I really liked how they put I don't know if you read these books, like the Healer books, the Legends books.
I haven't read those. I've got them, and I'm like, I have to read these, but it's been so long since we knew what was going on, and I'm going to go back and read them because I'd like to know.
Yes, it's a very I would read it personally. I did the Audible version. The Audible version is it's read to you, but it's only 2 hours or 3 hours for each book. It doesn't cover really a lot of it. It covers the important pieces of what Barriss the Healer is, and then we see her healing in Tales of the Empire, which I really loved how they did that, and people were upset that she was aging a little. That you see her aging, and it's what? But the fourth sister didn't really age that much at all, really. So I think it's because of the healing. She's helping people, and she's using her own body to just heal. So it was just It was just amazing to see all that transpire in Tales of the
Yeah, I actually would expect that Jedi would age. I don't think that they're immortal. So of course, naturally, there has to be that aging process, and it's been a while. And you're right, she is also a healer, so she's taking a level of energy from her core and giving it out to others. So that's also going to age her. But I think it was very realistic. It's very realistic of where she would look, where she would be now, and what she would look like. She would not be young and youthful as she was, at the beginning of her journey. We see her many years later. She's been locked up for many years. She's made some very bad mistakes. And also, I believe that aging is a reflection of her decisions too. When you do terrible things and they weigh on you and they weigh on your soul, that naturally ages you. And I think that they're trying to portray that as well by the aging process. It's not just the healing, it's also she's weathered by her life choices, and they're impacting the way she looks as well. So it's a combination of all those things.
Oh, I like that one. I really like what you said. That was good. My next one is now, when you watched the trailer, like when we saw the trailer, we thought Barris was going to go after Luminara and Julie. But it's not her. Now, would you wanted to see that and see what she would have done there? Or would you rather have that in another story, Because I know that we're not done with Barris Offee by a long shot. We know the ending of what happened, but you can't just do that to a character like that.
I know, right? Yeah.
So,
Everyone's like, what do you think happened? I'm like, I think there's more to be told here, but I would love to see her reconnect with Luminara and Julie. Because Luminara and Julie has far much more experience, wisdom than her learner, and to even have a dialogue between the two of them of what happened and why did you go down this path, and the master, teaching her lessons, words of wisdom. I think that would be great to see, having seen that, and even with Ahsoka, if Ahsoka would even see her, I think it would be great to have dialogue to see how did Illuminari take that. Is Illuminari going to even talk to her now that she's changed? I think that's something that I would love to see. Absolutely. I mean, what do I think the outcome would be? Well, again, we could go any way, but I would definitely love to see that.
Now, she says in Tales of the Empire, send the kid to one of my friends. She'll know what to do. Now, who do you think that is? Because a lot of people are speculating it is Ahsoka, but how would Ahsoka and Barris communicate? Like, how long has time passed since she's been stopping the Inquisitor and stuff like that? So who do you think that friend is on the other line?
I don't actually, you know what? It could be Ahsoka, but I don't think it's Ahsoka. I didn't think it was Ahsoka because she had been disconnected for so long. It's not like she will just suddenly, I thought either it could be Illuminari or it could be somebody else. I wasn't sure if it really was Ahsoka because we don't see that she connected with anybody when she came out and she's been trained for the Inquisitors. We didn't see that there was time for her to reconnect to Ahsoka. So it could be, but I didn't think it was. I mean, what's your take? I mean, did you think it might have been Ahsoka? Because I was like, well, I don't know.
I always hope it's Ahsoka. I always hope because that's my favorite character. I love her.
Yeah.
She's helped me through so much in my life. I love what Ahsoka stands for. And even Barris, like I've been loving lately. I'll get back to the question, but I've been loving lately all the female characters in Star Wars. Like Ahsoka, Azad's Ventress, Morgan Elsbeth that we just saw with 3 episodes. Barris, I wasn't expecting to fall in love with Barris. I wasn't. Like, I really wasn't. It was like, okay, even Azad's Ventress, even Morgan Elsbeth, I wasn't, like, ready to, like, love and open up to. And I've grown to love those characters, like those female characters. Even with Rebels too, Hera, Sabine, I love them dearly too. And I have I think my favorite characters are probably, except for like a couple, are all females. So I love what the females are doing in Star Wars.
Yes,
it's really good, like an In-N-Out burger. It's so good.
I was gonna say I love it too. I love that they're really focusing on the female Jedis. And they really are, building their characters. They're giving the answers that the fans have wanted, and they're showing that female power as well. You know, the female
Yeah.
Jedi power, because we didn't see that a long time ago when they first initially did the films, and now they're actually showing that, which I think is fantastic. I think it's people have long been waiting to see this. So and not all the characters are necessarily powerful in a good way like Elsbeth, but we still see their capabilities, and they're building these characters in a way that's very fascinating. I think it's a very fascinating journey to be part of as you watch these characters mold.
And it's like watching them grow up.
Yeah, you have a story now, and it's very it's I don't know what you thought of the first three of Tales of the Empire, but I was fascinated by the fact that she made a choice very similar to Barris.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to show, or maybe even develop her character to have regrets, but she doesn't seem to be the kind of character that will. I think that she's made some dark choices and she's going to stay where she is, but she did it out of suffering, suffering and grief, which is really sad to see that she made that choice. But she's a very powerful character, and I was like, wow. I really enjoyed the first three before they focused on Barris.
Yeah, because I knew they were going to show like Barris 4, 5, and 6. I knew they were going to leave her for like the last ones.
Yeah.
So watching like Morgan Elsbeth's story in there, it's like the suffering, like it's what Darth Vader went through, in New Hope, Rebels, or Obi-Wan the show and stuff like that. You see like the pain, the suffering. She's lost so much. She lost her sisters. She doesn't know where to go next, and she has to make a choice. And I think for her, it was always, she lost everything, so she was going to go face first into anything she could get her hands on, and it was the Empire. It was that. And we see her on Corvus, which we see in The Mandalorian also when she fights Ahsoka. And it's like, wow, it's like, it's amazing. It's like the amazing storytelling. It's like the New Republic could have helped you too, but the New Republic was falling at that time also.
Yeah.
So it was like a win-lose situation technically.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting how they developed that, and the fact that they did it just in 3 quick episodes, I think was also wow. So it's there's a lot packed into a very short space, and I think it's great how they did it, because I really felt like I knew what happened to her, and I knew how she transitioned into who she became, in those 3, and then we know what happened to Barris and how she came out of that negative space and transition back to the good. So I thought that was very cleverly done. I hope they do another one, and I hope that they develop those characters even more.
Yes, and I think with Barris, going back to Barris, is like, she was never an evil character.
No,
she was never like, yes, we can't lie here, because she murdered a lot of people when she blew up the temple. We can't lie. We wish, but we can't lie. But seeing her story, and when she became an Inquisitor and she fought the Grand Inquisitor, I'm like, this is no way, shape, or form she is going to be like an Inquisitor going forward, because at the end of the day, she has her teachings. She sat in that cell for, we don't know how many years, we don't know how many years she sat in that cell for. We don't know what she dreamed of. She sensed Order 66 because she sensed the bombing of the temple. And to see her go like, guards, something happened, and the clones are like, well, thank God you're not a Jedi anymore. And if she said that to them, she was going to get executed anyway. But to see her story and to see how she was developed, and we see her as an Inquisitor, we see her face Darth Vader, and people were like, oh my God, Vader's going to kill her because what she did with Ahsoka and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't think that's how the story's going to go. That would be a little evil, just have 2 episodes dies and that's it by the hands of Vader. I don't think they're going to do that. And I wasn't surprised, and I wasn't shocked that they added Lynn to it, the fourth sister, because we see her in Obi-Wan and we don't know who she is. We have the Black Series toy of her, but we really didn't know who the fourth sister was. So her name is Lynn. She must have been friends with Ahsoka, and she must have been a Padawan to someone, or a Jedi Master to and have a Padawan. So it was fun to see that transpire too, of that connection between Lynn and Barris. And Barris is like throughout the whole 3 episodes, and you could see Barris thinking about what her life is going to become, especially when they go on the 5th episode and they slaughter that whole family and just leave the kid. And it's
Yeah.
like, if that's what the Empire stands for, I don't want to stand for it, you know.
Exactly.
And I knew that. And when she said, "Well, you have one Jedi left to handle," or something like that,
Yes,
I was like,
yeah.
and wait, I'm gonna make you laugh because I watched it at 3 a.m. and I was like exhausted. So I asked myself that question in my reaction. I was like, "Oh my God, who's the Jedi? Who is it? Who is it?" And I'm like, Chris, it's her. It's Barris. At 3, I was like so confused. I was like,
Yeah.
who's the Jedi? She just heard a Jedi. Who is this? And I'm like, and I replayed that, and I'm like thinking so stupid. I was like, that's definitely dementia at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Watching it East Coast time. But what did you think of that dynamic relationship between Lynn and Barris?
Well, I mean, we don't know much about their relationship before, do we? It's not like we knew that they knew each other. You only know that just by seeing Tales of the Empire, that they've had, you know, when she, you know, comes in and she's, you know, still shackled up, she goes, Lynn, and I don't go by that name anymore. You know that there's like this transition for both those ladies, and they're not transitioning. They've probably both made choices, and one is still on a negative path, and one is questioning what she's done in her past. So, you know, I think it was very interesting that she knew her on a deeper level, and she was trying to help her at the end, you know, when they were hunting her. I mean, when she was hunting Barris. So I think that it's just very interesting that I think Barris is so powerful that she can actually make her question her actions. You know, and then she gets lost in the cave. I mean, the way that they did it, I thought was very interesting. It's very creative, but the showing that you know that Barris is trying to tell Lynn, don't do what I did. You know, she's trying to tell her in a way, you know, you can change. You need to make the right choice here, and she's giving her a choice. If you make the right choice, you can get out of the cave. You know, so I think that she must know her on a very deep level to have that conversation with her. And she chose not to just fight her. She could have just fought her and killed her, but that's not what she was about anymore. And she's an old friend, and you could see that in that last scene. You know, you could see what she was trying to do, just to, you know, to save Lynn. You know, she's trying to save her. So I thought that was very fascinating, and I would be very interested to know how they knew each other and their past as well. How did they forge that friendship? How was it that they knew each other so well before, and how is it that she's able to help her, you know, and without hesitation, without questions, she's trying to save her. She must be someone very important to Barris. That's what I think it is that this is a very important woman to her, very important friend, that she is trying to save her and redeem her before she makes the same mistake that Barris did.
Yeah, there's so much story with Barris that you could tell. Like even Clone Wars Barris, you could go back to the Clone Wars and do Tales of the Jedi, which is coming out this year also. So I'm excited how they do with Tales of the Jedi of Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I love Barris. I really I've grown to love her, know her character now, because she's a healing person now. She's a healer. And I'm glad that they made I'm glad they made the right decision with Barris, because I think if they went the Inquisitor route, I don't think I would enjoy that very well, because I'm like, oh, she's not like that though.
Yeah, you're right. And do you remember the scene when they were advertising and she has to bend down? She's bowing to her new master.
Yeah.
When I watched that, I sensed and I looked at her face and I thought, I don't think she's sure. I think they were trying to subtly show us that she's not sure, because when she's bowing down, she's like, she's questioning. You can see in her face, she's questioning. You know, is this? Hang on, what's going on here? It's not okay. She recognizes and senses him only, but what is this? You know, what am I doing? I shouldn't be here. And you can see the question on her face. I saw it when I was watching, you know, all those clips, you know, for the upcoming show, and I thought, okay, I think there's something more here that we need, that they're going to explore. We just don't know because they're not showing us.
Yes, I don't think she was scared. I think she was like, why am I here? Have I signed up for this? Did I sign the contract? Am I here to stay? Like, I think seeing Darth Vader and seeing how walking, everybody in that room could feel the coldness, the hate, the anger. And Barris was not one of them, was not the Grand Inquisitor. I would love to get the story on the Grand Inquisitor because I think his story is amazing and how he became what he became in Rebels and this show. And the sixth brother, and we see Marek in there too from Ahsoka, and we see the fourth sister, of course. And it would be fun to see what really happens to those characters as well. But with Barris, you could see like what am I doing here? Okay, let's see what they're about. Like, let's take a test run. And I think the next episode was that test run. And I think when Lynn slaughtered all those people and left the child, I think Barris knew her decision. And I think it just took that Jedi too, because she wasn't going to kill him. She didn't want to kill anybody. Okay, where's the Jedi? Okay, we're going to bring you in, like arrest you. And okay, you're not going to die. And then to see that. And she must have healed him. She might have healed him. Yeah. And I think that's beautiful, and I would like to know that Jedi's name because all we know he's a Jedi.
Yeah, right. So we don't know any. That's sometimes I think they leave it that way too because that's going to be explored later on.
Yeah.
Sometimes things cannot be answered. Like we know at the end, we have questions now about Barris, even if they never do another show about her character again. And it leaves it open, like it left it. It was very much a question. After we watched Attack of the Clones, did she really die or not? I think, regardless of whether we know that or not, I think we just know that she made the right decision in the end, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought like she died with Order 66 and Clone Wars. We thought she died maybe even in Attack of the Clones. She didn't make it to like Revenge of the Sith, or we seen her in Revenge of the Sith. Excuse me, like after Revenge of the Sith, maybe she died during a war battle. But we know that Luminara and Julie was on Kashyyyk, and Barris would have been on Kashyyyk with her master. During Order 66, and I don't know what happened. There's so many theories out there with Luminara. Is she alive? We see her in Rebels as like the Empire using her as bait for other Jedi, and she's dead. They just use the remains of her. So I want to see those stories, like Luminara's story. What happened to her? Even if she died, we want to know that story. Now with Barris and Lynn, like what happened with Lynn during Order 66? How did she become this fourth sister? How did she become? Because now all the Inquisitors you see have them red eyes. They have the blood, the yellow eyes, and we never, with Barris, it was always blue. She never really got those eyes, and I think if she killed anybody, maybe she would get those eyes, but she never wanted that, Barris. She wanted to be a peacekeeper, okay? The Jedi might have been wrong with a lot of things, and they were wrong, but Barris always stuck. I think she even says it with to the family that has a kid, like I learned from my master. And it was so, the music in that scene when she was talking, I was getting chills when I was watching it before I had you on today. And it was just, I was gonna cry. I was like, that is so beautiful. And how she's like saying the words and like I lost my way, but now I'm back to the light. Now I lost my way. But I think she like regrets what happened. In the Clone Wars. Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing going into, her next journey in her story. Because I know Barris, a lot of people survive with that little shank to the stomach area, Someone got their legs cut off. Darth Maul got his legs cut off. He's back in Clone Wars, So I don't think her story's done. I would love to see more of her story because I love that character.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say you did a great job with Barris in the live action. And I want to ask you this. So if Lucasfilm called you up today and say, Nalini, I'm going to put you in to do Barris Offee once again live action, would you come back? Absolutely. No, I would absolutely come back. I'd love to reprise her character. Absolutely would love to. It would be so much fun. It would be. Yeah.
I would be cheering you on for my TV screen. I'm like, I know her. She's my friend. I know her.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
What you did, and you embolized her. You had her features. We didn't see her in animation before, so when we saw her in animation, we saw her in live action. It was like the same person. It was like they really knocked her makeup, her skin complexion, her skin color down to the wire. We see that even in this. That looks exactly like you. You know. And you and Mary killing it as usual. Like, I give you so much props. You are an amazing character. You really are.
Thank you. I know. I was lucky to play this character, honestly. I could have played other characters, but I'm glad that I played Barris Offee. Of all the characters out there, definitely, hands down, I'm glad that I was chosen for Barris Offee. I would not have wanted to have played another character. Regardless of what she did, her choices, I relate very much to her character, and I think she's amazing as well. I cannot give her enough praise. So,
and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but with Mildred's voice of Barris, it sounds kind of like your Australian accent, It does, and I love what they did with her. She did amazing, and I think if we go live action with Barris again, I think you would absolutely kill it. And with the voice to have talking lines, because you never talked in the Attack of the Clones, really.
No, I don't. But that I mean, we really literally just did fight scenes and didn't need to do those. But I think that I mean, I don't think the accent would be too hard to do.
No.
I often sound British anyway, so so that. But I'd be interested to see how they would want to reprise her in the live action as well. I mean, would she be doing more action style? Scenes. I mean, because there's not much dialogue ever. We've never seen it. So the question is, would they even consider doing that? Will they just show her doing what she does best?
Yeah. And I think this is much going into like the Ahsoka series. It's a much wiser Barris. It's a much older Barris too. Like, it's what she's been through since Tales of the Empire. And now Ahsoka takes place probably like in the Mandalorian era. So that's probably like 25 years after the Return of the Jedi, technically, or 10 years. Don't get me. I think it's 10 or 15. So we see that jump, and Barris is probably in Tales of the Empire 30, late 20s, maybe.
Oh, in Tales of the Empire, no, I think she's a whole lot older than that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, she's probably in her 40s. She almost looks like she's 50 in the Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
40s, 50s. I would not say that she looks like she's in her 30s. I think the way
but I think because she looks that old, because what we said earlier is with like the healing, she's healing people, and what you said about her going tough times and stuff like that. But I think she's around in her 30s, because she can't be 50. There's no way. Barris
I don't think she's 50, but I thought that she would probably be in her 40s. Because she is very young, in her 20s, I thought, early 20s, if anything, when we see her. I mean, if she wouldn't have been any younger than 18, 19. So, when you look at that 25 years later, she'd be, she'd definitely be early 40s, if anything. But the actual Tales of the Empire shows her to look older than that. They do make her look like, she's obviously still, looks well, but she has... those lines are there, so we know there's aging that's happened. You know what I mean? So, but she's somewhere there, But she wouldn't have had lines. She wouldn't have had wrinkles or like age lines. I think, she's in her 30s. She'd still look young. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe 40s.
40s. I could see that.
Yeah.
So my last question to you is, what was it like working with George Lucas? Did you ever meet George Lucas? Did you ever see him or anything like that? What was your experience like, if you had that experience?
Yeah, I did get to work with him. He's so incredibly down to earth, incredibly nice, knows what he's doing, is very professional on set, and he's kind. Like, after we finished filming, we filmed back at Fox Studios in Sydney in Australia. He had a party for everybody. Oh, wow. And I remember this. We went into the party, all the actors, and I think it was cast and crew. And he had his big bodyguard next to him, and no one wanted to go up and speak to him. So I went up and just like, you know what? We can't be looking at him and not saying anything. So I went up to him and started to talk to him. He was so down to earth, so nice. And then after that, everyone else started to talk because that ice was broken.
You did it for them. You did it for them.
Yeah, I did it for them because I thought, okay, well, I have to thank him. And I did. I thanked him and had a very brief conversation and had a really great night. But I'll never forget that. Like, he is just a very down to earth person, and he's like, just, I mean, well, as we have a saying, average Joe Blow. Like, you would not think that he doesn't sit on a pedestal. He doesn't see himself as any better than anyone else. He is just literally another fellow human being. He's that nice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, before we go, where can everybody find you on the social medias?
Jedi Nalini. Jedi Nalini is the main one for Star Wars. So if they go Jedi Nalini on Instagram, and then I have a couple of pages, but I have my main Facebook, which is just Nalini Krishan. So they can find me on there.
And now, where are you going next, Nalini? Where are you going?
I am actually going to be at Rebel Scum Con at the end of June in Dallas, Texas, which is very exciting. Love Dallas, Texas. So I have friends that live close there. I have friends that live in Dallas. I know the organizer. He's fantastic. Such a nice guy. So I'm going to be there 27th of June to the 1st of July.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You're going to have fun there. A lot of other people are going that you're friends with and stuff like that. So you're going to have a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Nalini, thank you so much. So much for coming on the show and talking all things Barris Offee, because we love her so much. But before we go, shout out to you so much for killing the character. Again, like I said, you did amazing work for the character. I hope to see you again as Barris Offee in the future, live action or whatever they want to do. You are an amazing person, talent, everything. And it's a pleasure that now we're best friends. Don't make me cry. All right.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. And I'm sorry it took us a while to get together, for me to get it together. But I really appreciate at the time that we've had chatting about Barris, all things Barris. I hope to see you in person. Hey, come down to Rebel Scum if you can.
I know, Dallas, Texas.
Nilda's going to be there. So, yeah.
But I got to tell you, all my exes live in Texas. I'm just putting it out
there. It's okay. Texas is such a big state. You don't need to see them.
But Nalini, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're amazing. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm a big fan of yours and Barris Offee. So anything with Barris involvement, I'm always down to have you. Come back. You're welcome. Come back anytime on the show. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Scevoli on tonight's show with Nalini Krishan, everybody.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys subscribe down below to the YouTube channel, the Scevoli Show, guys, for more fun interviews. We have so many fun interviews coming up with Star Wars guys, Star Wars guests, Star Wars people, whatever you want. We're here for it. We're here for it. But guys, be kind to one another, and may the Force be with you, my friends.
All right.
Bye.
In my life, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what.